Welcome to the Draft Board Hockey Show. My name is Mark, and my co-host, the Linkovich Chomowski. For those of you know Linkovich Chomowski, right there, Link?
Yeah, they go by many names. That's one of them, and I'm
Is
excited to
it?
be back here. Oh yeah, I'm excited to be back here on the draft board with you, Mark. Oh my gosh, it's been too long. It's
Yes,
been way too long. We've
yes.
had a bit of a hiatus. It's been busy. We've both been very, very busy here. A lot of hockey to watch, a lot of school to finish. Finals, they're here.
You're
We're
done.
in the middle
You're
of
done.
finals right now.
Everything's done.
Well, we're in the middle. We're still in the middle of the
Okay, so you
finals,
still got a
so
little bit more to go. Right in the middle of like busy hockey time right now, too. U18s, lottery, like it's all happening at the same time, and then you're stuck studying. Oh man. Oh, you did your listen. People watching, Link just released his top 100. It's on YouTube and it's online to his website. So go check that out. New Wave Hockey. You got to check out the Link Meister. Put a lot of work into it. Looked good. I went through it. Loved it. Couple of things that we'll talk about next show. Next
we'll
show
get
we're
into
going to
it.
talk
We're gonna
about
get into it.
because I'll have my rankings out. He'll have his rankings out, and then we'll be able to discuss. So yeah, good stuff though, Link. Great stuff. Go check that out, people.
Appreciate it.
A lot of work on
Appreciate
that,
it.
eh?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I got it under the wire. I there was a lot of there was a lot of personal like school stuff I was doing, and also like I was traveling a little bit throughout the month of April, but I got the list done in time. I got the article was the hardest one to put down because I was really going
Oh,
over certain
so
things,
lots of stuff.
and then I did the video, and getting the clips was tough too, but we got it all in. And yeah, there's 100 prospects ranked in that video. There's a little bit of
Beautiful.
technical difficulties, but hey, we did it. 100
Beautiful.
100 were listed, 100 were described. And yeah, so far, whoo, some hot takes. Some people were not happy about some of the rankings. I guess you're just gonna have to go see them and come
Yeah,
back here.
well, I'm going to talk about that. There's a couple things that I'd like to discuss, but hey, you know what? That's awesome. But lots of stuff going on in the hockey world right now. Obviously, I just mentioned the U18 World Juniors was on in Texas, and the Canadian boys came up, and I thought yesterday's game last night they played the final against Sweden. I thought it was going to be a closer game, and Canada said no, we're going to do this 7-zip. Thank you very much. Gold medal.
I was shocked. I
I
really
will.
was. There were two game. There were two games that were on last night. I stayed up to watch one of them, and I'm gonna be real. I watched the Stars Avs game. It was Game 7. I mean, hey, that was a great game. And then I turned on. I saw the score of the game. I'm like, okay, I need to watch that then. So I thought I'd have to pick the lesser between two evils. But man, Sweden was really dominant throughout this tournament. I mean, a lot of players showed up. There was one player in particular who showed up a little late, didn't really show up at all, was not really a big fan of him during
Yeah.
the tournament. But some names that I really wasn't expecting to be factors really were Philip Ekberg.
Woo,
Yo,
woo,
look at him when he's not being coached by
woo.
Dave Cameron, and also Sasha Boumedian looks, I would say, pretty solid on offense. I really liked what he was doing in the offensive zone. There were some defensive deficiencies, however, he looks pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie to you, Sasha Boumedian. He's kind of he's made a case for himself. There's some guys that I'm definitely rethinking after watching that tournament, and yeah, I heard about them based on how I ranked them in my video. So we'll talk about it. But yeah,
Yeah,
what stood out to you?
I thought also, you talk about Boumedian. I thought that he did pretty good. Now I know you're harping on Frondell, but I thought that he played pretty good against Canada. He, you know what,
He did. I will say that.
and you got to remember this poor kid just came back from the Allsvenskan final. Like that kid has been through. Like I don't think he's used to playing that many games against men.
No,
And I think he was a little worn down. I don't think we saw the best of Anton Frondell. Like he literally rushed over after their finals, went right to the World Juniors. So, a little jet lag, a little bit of this and that. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but there were some glimpses of his superior puck skills and his hockey IQ. And you know what? To be honest with you, there's a few times when I thought that Frondell, his teammates were kind of, his line mates were lacking. Like there was a couple times when they weren't in the right position, and so I don't want to harp on Frondell too much because I'm a fan of Frondell. However, on Canada, Brady Martin, oh my God, what a machine! That guy is just a machine.
what a
And I,
guy.
I have the privilege. I'm from the Sioux, and I've watched him, and I said that this kid, when he hits with authority. He ain't going out there just to rub you against the boards. He's trying to put you through the boards, and he played really well. Ivan Kovic played really well. Obviously, 2 shutouts in the last 2 games, semifinals and the finals. Uh, you know, the last game, he wasn't a factor too much in the regular round. was Schmidt, Cameron Schmidt. I thought that he played really well in the finals. US really surprised me too, to be honest with you. I didn't think they were going to be as good. Ended up with the bronze and OT win. And there's a few players on that team that I thought, Colin Potter, I thought played really well. He did. Of course. He flies out there. A couple incredible. Of the younger, the 2026 draftees from the US is going to be good next year in terms of draft rankings and stuff like that. But yeah, you know what? There's so Murtka, he kind of stayed status quo. He wasn't. I thought he should have been more dominant. Just was okay. So I'm trying to go through all the teams here and the top prospects. Jackson Smith, had a big goal there, so he played okay. Again, nothing too exceptional. Kindle played okay. I wouldn't say that his stock went through the roof with this tournament, but yeah, I don't know. Your thoughts?
I'm surprised you didn't mention Braden Coots. I mean, I thought he had a great tournament. I really did like that. I really thought. Yeah.
Sorry, my brain's just going through all the players. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. I was also pleasantly surprised with the United States as well. I'm pretty close with this TikToker WGAC rankings, and he's really tuned into a lot of the national tournaments, and he gives a really good perspective on Sweden. Also, one thing I would want to say about Frondell, I was not really going to be hard on him on most of the games. I think the final was a game where I was kind of like, all right, let's see. This is a big game. And he played well for the most part, but I still felt like he took a backseat to a guy like Ivar Stenberg some of the time, and he played like more of a complement to the line. But that's kind of his game in general. The thing is with Swedish prospects, and you can go back and look at this. There are a lot of cases if you're going to be a first or second rounder from Sweden, you're playing 70, 80, 90 games, in some cases 100 games in a calendar year.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
I know.
It's ridiculous. And Frondell was a little bit injured. He's not going to come near that. But I think Jakub Wozniak is at 80 or so games. He has just been a workhorse for his country. And I always take that into perspective. Games played, the more games you play, the more I'm like, the longevity's there. Can you
withstand that? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So that's something that always plays a role, plays a factor. I mean, they really work those kids in Sweden. So that's something I think that plays a factor. And looking at Anton Frondell, he played a number of Allsvenskan games as well as playing in the J20 as well. Along with all the tournaments that he's been doing this year. So he's been playing a ton of games. So I'm not going to go too hard on him, but I will say I was expecting a little bit more. I think that's fair to say.
I agree. Listen, I totally agree. Like I said, he didn't stand out like he was supposed to be. You think that he'd come in and dominate at least, one game, especially the final, right? I mean, come on, you gotta pick that up. But back-to-back games again for him, right? I mean, he comes right off, plays a game the next day, and then he 1 day break and then back-to-back games. That's hard on a kid. But like you said, you can't rely on one tournament, and I'm always kind of leery about that. I hate, I see it all the time. You see rankings bounce up, especially like the U18s and stuff like that. They bounce up really high because a player has a great U18s, and then I'm just like, I don't know. Like you got the whole season to kind of watch this player. You can't rely on one tournament. But I digress.
I will say, I think you're going to see a lot of people rank Ekberg and Boumediene really high after this tournament. And for that scenario, I think Boumediene has showed enough where he's in the conversation to go in the late first round. But as much as I loved what Ekberg did, and I do like Ekberg as a player, I really don't think he's a first rounder. I know he played a very good tournament, but I really want to reiterate, like he's going to move up on my list for sure. But he's not someone that's going to climb into my first round. And again, I think that's something you have to draw a line. He played.
Yes.
You saw the season that he played. I know a lot of people are making the argument that it's Dave Cameron's fault, but hey, it's a whole season, so I we'll see.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like you mentioned, Ivar Stenberg, man. So that's like again, the 2026 people don't realize how good the 2026 draft is going to be. It is deep. Like everyone's talking about Gavin McKenna. You have no idea. And we'll talk about that. Probably we'll talk about that after in the off season. We'll talk about the 2026. but you wait and see.
There will be many times. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's going to be that next year is going to be fine. I was just talking to someone on Twitter about he was mentioning the McKenna. Oh, McKenna's draft. And I said, okay, well, don't worry about McKenna. You're going to see there's some the other ones, but then you got 2027. You got Landon Dupont, and then 2028 Maddox Schultz. Did you see what Maddox Schultz did?
Did I see what Maddox Schultz did? Come on now.
I think I'm talking in general. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking in general. People, have you seen what Maddox Schultz did? Like, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so it's been a fun time. The lottery's tomorrow. What's your let's talk a little bit about the lottery right now. What's your thoughts? Come on now, talk to me.
First of all, the
lottery. Yeah,
I would say I'm a little disappointed because I grew up in an era where I love the cards. I love the suspense of the presentation of how they've been doing the lottery for the last few years. The presentation of the cards, I think it's brilliant. It really creates an air of anticipation for me. There were years where I'd be like, I tuned into the lottery. I'd pop some popcorn. I'd have some friends over. They don't even care about hockey. They're just here to watch the suspense with me. And now it's just going to be balls. And we're going to know in 10 seconds. Where's the suspense?
Yeah.
Besides all of that.
But you know what? When it's going through the process, and then you're like, okay, what? You know what I mean? It's almost like it's like a true lottery, right? I think hey, give it a chance, Linc. Come on now, don't bash it yet. Come on, we can talk about after the lottery. We'll discuss and say, it was not the same as a card. I do love the cards though. I have to admit that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
especially the big really logo on the front there. It's like, yeah.
I think they're just trying to shut down some conspiracies when they were like, because in 2023 everyone was like, oh my gosh, of course Bedard's going to go to Chicago. Yeah. and then he went and we're like, oh my God, conspiracy. I think it's just, sometimes it just happens. And, maybe Bedard's wishing he had guys like McTavish or Carlson or Zegras with him, but hey, I digress. Maybe.
Yeah. So that's happening tomorrow. Lots of fun. So also, I just want to mention that next week, Linc and I, so Linc did his rankings. I'm going to try to drop mine today or tomorrow. We're going to have a show on our rankings, a lottery. The next episode, don't listen, come back. You got to come back for the next episode because it is going to be fire. Yeah. So today's episode, we have a special prospect, and Linc has been wanting to talk about this prospect for a while now. He's all pumped. So one of his
boy.
One of his boys. Yeah. One of his boys right here. So we are talking about Malcolm Spence, Erie Otter forward. Yes, he is a beauty. One of my favorites too. I love Malcolm Spence, and I'll let you start pumping his tires right off the hop here, Linc. Let's go.
Well, Malcolm Spence, I mean, where do I even begin with this guy? There's so many things to like in his game. However, again, there are some things that are, a bit difficult in this game. That's what makes him kind of one of my favorites, because there's always something I'm wanting more out of him. And I really expect, and I think the world of him, because I think he can achieve so many heights. Obviously he's the second best Erie Otter on his team, because Matthew Schaefer is also on that team, but he's almost a year older than him. I think he's exactly like 11 months, or no, not even like he's almost a complete year ahead of Matthew Schaefer,
I think they're close in age. So yeah, he's one, but obviously forward D. But let me show you his stats before you. So this year, 65 games, 73 points, 32 goals. So you know what? And he's 6'3", 200 pounds, just a monster. Yeah, there's a lot to like about his game. I'm going to start off with some clips. I'm going to put your clips up right now, Linc, because I know you got these all fired up, ready to go.
So the battalion, they have a little bit of a miscue there. There is Spence gunning through the middle of the ice, loses the puck, resets, and then he's on the side on the zone entry, sets up, dangle, shot, scores.
Little toe drag.
The skill's out the wazoo. The skill is out the wazoo. You've got the skill there. You've got the speed. You've got the stick handling. You've got the shot. You've got the positioning. He's a very smart player. He's a very creative player. And he's one of those guys where you look at him and you watch him, and sometimes he's not always that exciting to you, but he has that talent to take over games at times and be the defining factor. There were certain games where after Matthew Schaefer went down with injury, the second half of the season, they needed some guys to step up in their lineup, and they had some great players. Like Pano Femus played a great amount of games for them, but Malcolm Spence was that guy for them in certain scenarios, and he really can take over games at times. He can really turn it up to 11, but it's when he's not turned up to 11 is when people are a little bit concerned about it. I guess we have some more clips here for Mr. Spence here. All right, so he's playing here against Saginaw, and he's at the top here, number 17, Chrome Buckets. Love the buckets here. Steals right here from Guo, and he just takes it, and he just starts that transition. He lets it go. He's great at just attacking the defenseman. I would say I found that he's a really good forechecker. He's great at putting pressure on the defenseman, and he makes it almost look effortless at times, which I think kind of is a detriment and also a benefit as well, because sometimes it looks like he's not giving a lot of effort. But like I said, when he's on, he's on. He's pressuring defensemen. He's always on top of them, and they'll cough up the puck because he's a big dude, 6'2", 200 pounds.
Yeah,
just like we saw there.
He's very intimidating, and like you said, when he puts pressure on defensemen or even opposing players, basically, he's a force to be contended with here. I'm going to show a clip. So arrows on him, and so you don't have to worry about Malcolm Spence attacking the dirty areas in the front of the net, because he just that's his bread and butter. Like that. Now, I don't understand how he got away from being, playing the bumper here. Like, they left him alone way too much on that one. Wow. But yeah, he is a player who attacks. And let me show you that he also has, like you said, he's got some good playmaking abilities in this clip here. I'm going to show you this one. All right, so this one here, see that little fancy pass there? Like, that was right through the legs, and they end up getting a goal because of it. Look at this little boop right through the legs. Like, come on. Takes a little bit of, anticipation, pre-planning and stuff like that. So yeah, he's got, and the shot, like I said, their shot. What? Boom. You leave him open for one split second in that high danger area in the house, and see you later. Like, it's in the net before you even can blink. Yeah, a lot of good, positives of his game, but there are some, like you said, consistency issues, I guess you could say. The progression's been good though from last year. You want to see that progression in the player, and he's definitely shown that. And managed to do well without Schaefer. When Schaefer missed most of the season, right? I mean, he missed the first half or the first part with mono, then he missed, pretty much the second half of the season after the collarbone break at the World Juniors. So, and that's a high offensive, loss for Erie. So for him to manage to put up well over a point a game without that on the power play and whatnot is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really, really is. And again, the issues, I mean, they're well documented. I mean, consistency error, and like people will say, even though he got 30 goals this year, 73 points in 65 games, that's not satisfying enough for some people. And I can understand why. I mean, he was projected to be this really insane star player, could have fought for a top 10 spot at the beginning of the year. Now is a little bit like in the 15 to 20 range. I can totally see people's discretion with this guy. Of course, obviously, he's a very confident player. He's a very creative player, has a tendency to do too much, has a tendency to miss some passes, has a tendency to look off passes and try to shoot. That happens with a lot of star players. I think it is key for him to go to the right team to be coachable. And I believe he is a very coachable player. I love watching his interviews when he's playing internationally. I love watching the way his teammates talk about him. One thing I do for certain prospects, because I'm very active on Instagram, I will often go when I want to try to assess how how teammates feel about their fellow teammates. I'll look in their Instagram posts and I'll see how their teammates comment on his Instagram posts, and his teammates, they love this guy. He's a complete jokester. He's a really funny guy. And yeah, the support for Malcolm Spence is really there. I think he's one of those players where you kind of there's not really people out there who don't like this guy. He's a very likable player. And I'm not gonna lie to you. If the Flyers were to trade down or he were to fall outside of the top 20, he's someone that I would absolutely want my Philadelphia Flyers to go up and select.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, yeah. So I think he projects as a middle six guy, maybe a two-way winger at the end of the day. I really like the comparison someone made to Mark Stone. I personally think he's more JT Miller, but yeah,
Yeah,
he's he's
I don't think Mark Stone has that. He's got that hockey IQ that's off the charts. You know what I mean? I JT Miller, I like that a little bit more.
So yeah, I would say a little bit more JT Miller, but I heard someone say Mark Stone. I heard someone else say Corey Parrish. I was like, he's not that pure of a scorer
No,
as much as him. So, but I think you're getting a really gritty player, and just for the tools alone, like,
yeah,
come on, that's great.
yeah. Listen, you can't go wrong with a prospect like that. And like you said, he did float around the top 10 discussion early on, has dropped a bit, but if he falls outside of 20, like you said, oh my God, I can't see it happening. But if it does, like you said, someone move up, pick him up all day long, no problems. Yeah, so that is it for Malcolm Spence. So next thing we're going to discuss, you know what's coming. Follower questions. All right, Linker, bring us home. What do we got for follower questions here? Let me pop this up here.
So we just wanted to focus on some more draft lottery questions for this week, and we got a really good one for the first one. Hey, you Flyers guys, we really respect you guys. Are always commenting, always asking what the Fly guys are going to do.
Yes.
Mark and Linc, Yusarian says, Mark and Linc, the Flyers did it. The boys came through when it matters most and lost in the finale to the regulation of Buffalo. Now they're number 4 in the slot going to the lottery, and will draft no lower than 6. Being in the 4 to 6 slots, one of the top seeds is very, very likely to be there. Fingers crossed with the lottery. The Michkov dream is very much alive. Great show as always. Thank you, Yosarian. That brings up a discussion of the centers. Obviously, if the Flyers win the lottery, it's Misa, and I think we both have an inclination towards Caleb Denoyer. But if the Flyers fall to 5 and 6, what centers are we looking at here?
Well, I mean, I think it depends on how the draft goes, right? And I think that like a team like say Nashville might go with Hagens. So I think and so you're going to be left. You're going to go like say hypothetically, we got Schaefer, Misa, and Hagens. We'll say hypothetically, does Martone slip into one of those top teams too? A team that needs a winger. Then we're left with either Caleb Desnoyers or Anton Frondel. If you know what I mean. So. Whoo.
I'm a little bit more partial to Denoyer, but Frondel, as I'll reveal, he was my number 5 player on my board, behind Denoyer in the top 3, and I would love to come away with Frondel. I think that would be fantastic. I think he is the perfect support player for a guy like Misa. He's the perfect scoring valve for a guy, not Misa, for a guy like Michkov. I think that would be awesome to come away with a guy like Frondel.
Do you think that because Desnoyers' brother is in the system though, that the Flyers might say, hey, you know what? Because that would be pretty fun too.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Elliot Desnoyers is in the system. He's about like 4 or 5 years older, right? He's like 23.
I think he's a few years older. Yeah,
he's a couple years older. But that's something that could be a storyline for sure. But the
Flyers have had success with Swedes in the past, though. You know what I mean? So it's like. But they've also had
a long time. I will say they have not drafted a Swede in a long time.
Yeah, but they've had success with French Canadians too. So I mean, I guess that argument
Simon Gagne,
really,
Claude Giroux,
Briere,
Desjardins, Briere. There you go.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot that we can kind of get through here. There's a lot of discussion around it. The Flyers are obviously one of the most contentious teams, along with. I guess hey, like when I'm on Twitter, I'm looking at what the Blackhawks are doing. I'm looking what the Flyers are doing. It's gonna be tough to predict this year's draft, and it'll even start at 1. There's a lot of going to be a discussion between Schaefer or Misa.
Absolutely. I think that the Flyers, if they land no further than 5, I think they're going to be okay. Because like I said, I think there's Schaefer, Misa, Hagens, Desnoyers, and Frondel. I think that would be.
If I will say if the top 3 and then Frondel and Denoyer are gone, I still think it's not horrible to get a guy like Porter Martone, who I know isn't a winger, Jake O'Brien at 6. I could be down for that. I could be down for Victor Eklund, even though I know a lot of other people are not Victor Eklund fans. I think there's a lot of winning that the Flyers can do here. obviously there was a lot more contention with last year's pick. I didn't think Zeke Bouillon was going to be available, and now he is playing in the playoffs, or was playing in the playoffs, rip the Wild. But hey, Jet Luchenko looks pretty good. So I'm trusting the process. I'm fully putting my hope into their scouting staff. So we will see.
I think Jake O'Brien could be a kid that jumps up in the rankings because he just has that hockey IQ. I actually did a video on him, and the smart, like his only knock is his skating, right? But you got to remember, he's a very skinny. He's a skinny kid, like that. And I had read somewhere on Twitter where they said this kid's not 170 pounds. He's like 150 pounds, maybe. He just looks really, really slight. So you have to remember, like, you can't teach that hockey IQ. The skating can be fixed, but even the skating sometimes, like if someone has so much hockey IQ, they just put themselves into positions, into areas on the ice. They just read the play so well that it's a tough call, but I think he might be a player that jumps up like kind of like a Beckett Seneca. I don't know if he goes up like that much, but he could jump up a few spots because like right now he's floating in the 10 area, around 10 pick area. Yeah. But I mean, I don't see a problem with him jumping a few spots up and falling in and around the top 5 spot.
So yeah, we'll see. All right, another question here. We got a comment from the Twine Tickler 7. Hey guys, found you guys recently. Been loving the energy and insight. Thank you so much. As a Bruins fan, I was a little disappointed that they got jumped by Linc's Flyers. I wonder if you guys, I think it's both of ours. I wonder if you guys could provide your high level view on this draft. Everyone talks about tiers throughout the first round. I wonder if these guys, how you see the tiers of players being available to produce at the NHL level, i.e., I think there's a clear top 2, and there's pretty good guys until 12, and then a pretty decent drop-off at the 20 range. The Bruins are in a good spot to get a decent center, but Linc, please tell Briere not to take my boy Caleb, please. Thanks again, guys. Hey, I want Denoye, so I don't care about your Bruins, but no, I think the Bruins are in a very unique spot, because I think they are kind of bridge the gap between, I would say, within the top 10, there are 3 tiers, or like kind of straddling the top 10. There are 3 tiers, and that's, I guess, the top 3, and then number 2,
top two. Don't add Higgins to the top 3, please.
I'm adding Higgins.
No. Come on, now. I did a tier list, and I put Misa, Schaefer, the rest, see you later, and then there's Higgins. He falls into the next tier. Come on now.
I disagree.
He's a 5'11" centerman. He's even 5'11". I think he's 5'10". So you know how the NHL rolls. You know how the NHL rolls. Unless he was putting up 2 points per game in the NCAA, then I'd say he's a top tier. But that's a hot take.
Hot take all you want. It's all good. I think that, well, no matter how you slice it, even if he is in your next tier, he's the top guy in that tier.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that.
So the top 2 or 3, however you want to slice it, in the middle, then the middle of the top 10 goes Denoye, Frundell, Eklund, Martone, O'Brien, in whatever order you want to put it. Then after that, I think we introduce guys like Roger McQueen, Redden Murtka, Jackson Smith, Justin Carbonneau, Brady Martin, I guess, is now into that category. And I think the Bruins are leaning towards taking somebody in that 3rd tier. And obviously, if a guy like Porter Martone is available, and he's got Bruins written all over him, that's crazy. But I think someone that is going to interest the Bruins a lot, and especially a guy like Don Sweeney, seeing what he did and who he picked last year, I think Roger McQueen might be the guy that is really drawing the most Bruins vibes right now. That's kind of what I've been getting the sense of. So obviously Brady Martin's there too, but I really do think that McQueen
I think McQueen there. I put him in a mock. I have McQueen going to the Bruins in a mock that I've done in the past. So yeah, I agree with you on that. And I mean, yeah, it depends on where they land. Obviously, the lottery. Oh, I can't wait tomorrow.
All right, so we got 2 questions here. I thought were pretty interesting. I wonder if Montreal could snag Martin at 16th, says Via Pose. And then the other one.
Okay, let's talk about that one, and then we'll get back to the next one. So Martin at 16. Do you think he falls that much, especially after the World Juniors he just performed?
Well, I recently just came out with a ranking, not to flex my own guns once again, but he's at 15 for me.
Woo.
And he's moving up. I actually specifically say in my first line of like his assessment is I will take a physically imposing center who produces points any day of the week. And I don't know I don't know if you know anything about NHL GMs, but they're always looking for a number 1 or number 2 center, and they're looking at this guy. I don't think they're going to be passing up on this guy. So Brady Martin, I think he's in the range for a lot of different players. Like a lot of different teams will be looking at him. I think he could go as high as 5th with Boston. I think Pittsburgh is going to be looking at him. I think Seattle might be looking at him. I think the Rangers are going to be looking at him at 11. There are a lot of teams that could scoop him up. I think Montreal would be lucky if he fell to them at 16. They would be running to that podium.
I don't think he especially after the U18s. I don't think he's passing 15 for sure. You know what I mean? I can't see that happening. And not to mention he's putting up some decent points at the tournament too. He was not only physically imposing and just crushing bodies out there, but he, scored a couple goals yesterday in the finals. So I mean, you know what? And during the season, I always say, on my evaluation of me, great shot, and he showed it. Yeah, so I can't see him reaching Montreal at 16. Sorry, Habs fans.
Yeah. One of the most telling things that I felt like we didn't mention in the Martin video, one of the most telling things when assessing the confidence of a prospect is seeing how they enter the zone. This guy, whenever he has the chance to, will drive right through the middle. It's pure punch you in the mouth type hockey, and I love it. And I'm already rethinking my 15 ranking of him because it's tough because that's where
well, especially this year. It's an interesting one. All right, next question.
TH Wicked 50 Cal. I don't know if there's a short way to say that. Any realistic targets for the Islanders in this draft? Yeah, I mean they're number 10.
He likes Eklund, Murtka, or McQueen. So I mean, yeah, it definitely those players will fall in and around that range for sure.
Yeah, I think Eklund goes top 10. I'd be surprised.
Eklund should go top 10. But I'm just saying, if depending on if the Isles bump up a couple spots or something like that, I mean, Eklund is firmly in the top 10. I mean, I just love everything about that kid's game and him.
Yeah.
Every time I watch him, I'm like, oh my God, this kid, he's unreal. Murtka and who's the other one? Murtka and
he said McQueen.
McQueen, yeah. So those might be in and around that region.
They do need a lot. I will say the Islanders are in a unique position where they really could come out of here with anything and they'd be fine. They addressed a need of goal scoring last year with Yzerman. I think that pick was really good at 20. I really think Cole Yzerman was closer. Yeah. He was closer to a top 10 guy than a top 20 guy. So I really liked them getting him at 20. And yeah, I think they had a really good draft last year. I think what they should be prioritizing this year is centers. So I guess on the nose for a guy like McQueen, or I think an even bigger need would be to stock that defensive cover. You have to build from the goal out. And that's the second part of that is defenseman. Murtka would be a great target for them. I really like them looking at a guy like Logan Hensler. I think that's a very Logan Hensler landing spot. I liked it more when Lou was there. I thought Lou was a guy who would fall in love with Logan Hensler, which, hey, it's whatever. But if they move up in the draft lottery, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with how far they can move up. But if they move up into the top 3, they could be players for a hometown boy, Mr. James Higgins, who is a Long Island native. So that could play. That could play. I think that they are one of the trade up candidates of the draft, I will say. So yeah, I'm intrigued by what the Islanders can do. They're sneaky, very intriguing, and we will see who will be at the helm. I don't know if they're going to be doing it by committee or they'll have a GM by that point, unless they've named a GM and I forgot. So we'll see.
All right. I think that's it for today, Linc. And as always, what a great show, buddy. Fun talking hockey. And the next couple weeks are going to be really busy because it's going to be, lottery. It's going to be mock drafts. Probably we're going to get together with the boys again, do another mock draft probably in a few weeks. So it's going to, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's the draft and it's going to be chaos, absolute chaos. We're going to just go bonkers. So Linc, as always, my friend, study hard, get those exams done, and then lottery tomorrow, baby.
Be all good. Lottery tomorrow. I'm very excited. This is one of the last times you'll see me in Copenhagen, so I will see you guys. Keep those comments coming.
Yes,
we love reading comments. Keep them about the lottery because we're going to be asking a lot of questions after the lottery. There's going to be so much speculation. I'm going to be coming out with a video of my own. I might even stay up and just record my live thoughts. Be like, all right, this is where this guy's going. So we'll see. But thank you guys so much. And thank you, Mark.
Yeah, of course, buddy. And that's it for today. And we'll see you soon. Cheers.